Industry Talks by ARC Advisory Group.
Welcome, everybody, to ARC Industry Talks. I'm David Humphrey, Research Director at ARC in Europe, based in Germany, and I'm here with my colleague Florian Güldner. Hi, Florian. Good to have you back in the studio this month for our monthly podcast on what's happening in the world of industry and especially in industrial automation. Florian, we've been analyzing our ArcWire again to find out the hottest topics. Tell what is ArcWire and what have you discovered this week?
Well, ArcWire is our monthly newsletter about industry, automation, technology, everything related in our general domain. And well, we know how many people read which article. So we are always observing the trending topics. Side note, you can all register. It's free. It's quite good update and pulse of the market. So we always analyze that. And the big topics over the last weeks were the Honeywell user group meeting, the acquisition of Cognite by Schneider Electric. Overall, a lot of economics discussion also with our clients, and something about Brazil, which is a teaser for the end. So I won't say
Brazil.
why, but Brazil, just let it sink in.
Sounds interesting. All right, let's get started with the markets, Florian. How is the big picture looking?
I can summarize it in one word.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most accurate description probably of the general development. So we go slightly deeper than just So we monitor the machinery markets, the end user markets on the industry as well as the automation markets on a monthly basis, and we also on a quarterly basis. And on the monthly basis, we have a sentiment index. We'll link you that in the show notes, so you can join and participate here. So, well, we are all waiting for the uptick. We looked at the big regions, US or North America, Europe, and Asia. And quarter by quarter, US is doing worst. So they're actually going down. Europe and Asia is quite stable. And the big discussion we had also with our clients is the situation in China. Again, I mean, we did deep dives on China, but it's still the big shift from the Chinese economy as a growth engine that is CapEx oriented, large world scale projects. And now what we're having, the projects are getting smaller in scale because of geopolitical frictions. And instead of one plant, you build 2 or 3, and you only build 1 in China. So projects are getting overall a bit smaller. And on the other side, the established industries are moving from CapEx to OpEx. So they're finally starting to take care of their equipment and not just building a new plant every time they need something. So a big change there. Price pressure. Out of this, also Chinese vendors seeking opportunity elsewhere in the world, in Latin America, in Europe, and all the like. So there's a very big shift happening right now. There was also a user group meeting, David.
All right. Yeah. Let me say something about the Honeywell user group known as HUG. It's an annual event. I haven't attended one in a few years, but I used to go. And these events made me the process man that I am today. This year's focus was on Honeywell's AI-driven path to autonomous operations. And we sent our colleague Larry, and I just want to summarize what Larry reported. The HUG this year was used to showcase this AI-related product announcement or a series of product announcements and the path towards autonomous operations, like I said. The centerpiece of all this is the Honeywell Experience Cognition that they like to describe as an AI-powered automation platform. Sorry, but that sounds...
that sounds 100% not process. It sounds too futuristic almost.
It just sounds so promising, though. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. And the suppliers, not just Honeywell, everybody's doing something. And everybody's really starting to show what the future is going to look like. And Honeywell's just one. They highlighted a key project in the United Arab Emirates, a company called Barouge. as a major proof of point for AI-enabled autonomous control running in a live process plant
Yes.
environment. The project focuses on an AI-driven control room for full-scale real-time operations at a facility called Ruiz. I haven't been there, but it's going to be in the UAE somewhere. And what they reported as potential benefits are higher efficiency, which I would expect, improved reliability, which I would also expect, reduced downtime that I can really, really imagine.
Let me add two comments here. One comment is our European forum next year will center around the path to autonomy.
Hmm.
The other AI user initiative where ARC is quite heavily involved. We have our ODE, Open Digital Ecosystem, and they're right now forming a user group around HAZOP and AI. So they are really pushing that topic, and this is driven by the user community ARC works with. So the ExxonMobiles, the Shell, the BP, Saudi Aramco, and all these people who push in this direction. So there's a big movement right now. Let's see how fast the process industry is or will be in actually implementing all of this.
All right. Next item of news is a major acquisition, this time by Schneider Electric of Cognite. We know Cognite very well.
We do.
We've worked with the company before. Cognite has a fantastic data ops, industrial data ops platform they offer, and a bunch of other things. I suspect that AI is an influential factor here. Tell me about the acquisition. Why? What was it done for? And what did it cost?
It was an all cash transaction for around 3.1 billion US dollars, and it will be integrated in the Aveva part of Schneider Electric.
Why is Cognite so valuable for Aviva?
Well, Schneider Electric's leadership argues that the industrial AI is moving beyond analytics and dashboards towards systems that can support operational decisions and workflows. And to do that, industrial companies need a platform that can unify a lot of things and not just these typical silos that we have here. This is seen as a strength of Cognite, right? This industrial data ops platform that can combine a lot of these things. And the core idea is that the industrial data then can be pulled together from historians, MES, model system, maintenance, engineering, ERP, and all, side note, all the other spreadsheets floating around, right?
Mhm.
So in a messy industrial plant, you can actually pull it all together because you typically don't have a nice, smooth software architecture, especially not at brownfield. So Cognite links all these data sources into a common model that AI systems then can understand and make decisions on. And it is a very interesting market. We have an industrial data fabric study written by Colin Messon. The market is evaluated at around 20 billion, very fast growing. And there you can see that Cognite is moving in that asset-centric data fabrics and the data ops-centric data fabric. So it will enable to pull everything together, make a good foundation for AI.
All right, Florian, you and I like to joke about platforms. Everything is platforms. There's
Everything's
always a new
platform.
platform coming from every
Yeah.
direction.
I would be interested in your opinion as well, David. So do you have an opinion on this?
I do. I have an opinion on everything, and I took a look at this, and I think it's a great acquisition for Schneider. I think the world of Cognite. I've followed the company for a long time, and for Schneider to achieve our goal, not its goal, but the industry's goal of autonomous operations, just the way that Honeywell is pursuing it, just the way that Siemens is pursuing it, ABB and Rockwell. They need a platform that helps knock down these silos. We came across this a couple of years ago, monolithic software that you buy as a huge package. No modularity. That is changing the world, and this acquisition is a sign of things to come. All right, Florian, you gave us a teaser at the very beginning about, I think it was Brazil. Can you tell us something about Brazil?
We announced it already at the European Forum internally for the visitors there, but we'll have a forum in Brazil at the beginning of November. So you're all invited to join us beachside 5-star hotel and great content that we're already working on.
It sounds like a fantastic event. We look forward to it. All right, now it's time to switch gears and change topics. I recently had the chance to sit here in this studio with our new colleague Jan Burian and talk about industrial operations and Jan's view of what technology is going to be the game changer. Is it going to be AI? Is it going to be robotics? Stay tuned and find out.
Thanks, Tim.
So welcome to our deep dive. We've got the coffee on, and I've got my colleague Jan Burian here in the studio in Munich for the first time today. So welcome, Jan.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me to this prestigious podcast show. I'm really excited to share some of my best knowledge about industrial automation and AI.
Today, we want to take a deeper look at some of the questions that owner-operators are asking. The question for today that I'm going to pose to you is, what is the real game changer in industrial operations? Is it automation like it's always been? Is it robotics, AI? What about agents? We hear all of this right now, but what really matters?
I would say there's like a one clear shift, right, that emerges, and that's a real transformation. Is actually the convergence of data, AI, automation, and execution, which is actually pretty like a new element to all of those.
All right, but AI has been around for years now. What is different now?
I'd say, that's it's very important where the AI sits now, right? So it used to be, the last several years, if we divide AI to the, let's say, machine learning, neural networks, that's one area. But of course, the big area which is growing over time is powered by the large language models, right? So-called LLMs, right? So reasoning models.
Well, tell me, where does robotics fit into this? Is it still mostly all about hardware innovation?
I would say not anymore, right? So from my observations and also from ARC research, what comes out is that companies care about not just robot performance, right? But also what's important is usability and intelligence.
Does that mean that we're moving towards fully autonomous operations and facilities?
I would say not that much in the real term. Or let me phrase it differently, right? So I can imagine fully autonomous factory, but then the investment will be so high that it probably doesn't make sense for most of the companies to set up sort of environment. You still have like an AI that recommends, systems that could optimize, but there's still like a human which actually validates and approves, right, the outputs. You can just like produce like a real waste. That's a really like a different from using the co-pilot for sort of like helping you to fill in the spreadsheet or something, right? So this is actually the reason why autonomy is evolving on a shop floor, but it's still governed autonomy, right? Not full independence.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. I like that term, governed autonomy.
Yeah.
So what is holding companies back from going even further?
I would say it's not that much technology. I would say, again, so the hurdle is not the technology itself, but it's more like a foundation, right? That's actually where the models are. The projects are failing. It's not about like a models themselves when you talk about AI, but it's more about that operation data is not connected and it's not usable.
Okay, well, you mentioned the foundation. What would a better foundation look like?
Sort of like a legacy approach was to put all the data into one platform, right? And then just like to start doing something with that, right? But that actually didn't work well because it's in paradox, actually, it created even like a more duplicities and inconsistencies. So companies, what they are now doing now is that leaving data where it is, virtualizing them, and they're building a contextual layer on top, right? So it's often called a semantic or data fabric approach. This is those semantics and data fabric. Remember those terms, because when you hear about a modern factory let's say, architecture or IT architecture, then those two words will be definitely the part of this discussion or of the setup.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So so it's very important to connect IT and OT systems, right, through this, let's say, data fabric, and which actually enables AI to work with the context instead of isolated data. And suddenly AI becomes more reliable, right? So workflows are also become orchestrated, and this is also enabled to take decisions in a real time, right? So without that, you just create more complexity.
Hmm. Tell me, where do AI agents fit into all of this?
I don't want to. I'm looking for the right word, right? But
Mhm.
sort of like a not like a machine, but almost like a sort of like autonomous, like a robot, right? Which helps you to do everything, which is actually not that true, right? So the real value is not the autonomy of the agent, right? It's more the ability to orchestrate, right? To interact with the systems, to manage workflows, and to supporting decisions in the context, right? But it's also it's very important to understand, or to follow the principle that the agent is only as good as the context it operates in, right? So without the connected data foundation, agents quickly become unreliable, right? So I would say it's not the agent first, it's a context first.
Hmm. All right. And what about digital twins and simulation? How do they fit in?
Yeah, let me be more, let's say, a little bit brief here, but I would say that digital twins are evolving from static models into live operational systems, right? So, and thus, also, some people still understand the digital twin as more like a value for, it's like a visual part. The real value is not the visualization, right? So it's it's more in decision alignment, right? So again, so we are moving towards real-time simulation, continuous optimization, and AI-driven feedback loops, right? So so this is actually where the digital twins are powerful, right? So in engineering collaboration as well, right? So ability, they are also able to work with the data across the systems.
Hmm. Let's shift gears and focus on something away from technology, that I'd like to take into consideration sometimes: the people. How is all of this going to change the workforce?
The biggest concern is actually not the technology, but it's really like a people,
Mhm.
right? So they and some people might feel being threatened by AI, right? But what we're seeing, it's not in industrial area. It's not about replacement of people. It's more about augmentation, right? So people are getting augmented.
Mhm.
The talent shortage, of course, is one of the most presented hurdle in the industrial domain.
Well, let's see if we can bring it together, Jan. We've talked about AI, robotics, and agents. Uh, Going back to the very first question, what is the real game changer here?
Let me summarize it, right? That for me, the real game changer in this modern industrial environment is ability to turn connected industrial data into real-time, contextual, and executable decisions across the entire operations, right? So that, I mean, long story short, it's not just about analyzing what happened, but shaping what happens next. And this would be, that's for me, it's like a game changer in competitiveness
Mm-hmm.
as well, right? So and just to maybe very last point for the audience, what to, let's say, remember, right? It's that, I mean, this to work with the data in a context, I mean, that works only if data is connected. AI is operating in a context, so it's using the knowledge graphs, and workflows are fully orchestrated across the platforms, right? Because of course now, like a typical environment is really like a multi-platform, so it should be something that is really orchestrated across all those platforms. So everything else is just like enabler of the shift.
Mm-hmm. All right. Jan, thanks. This was great. This is great for me. I I have a couple of takeaways that I'm going to explore later on. I really, really like the user perspective of any technologies. How it changes the status quo, how it changes the technology, how it changes the workforce, and we touched on all of those topics today. So thanks for researching this. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us today. And to our viewers, thanks for tuning in to this deep dive on the real game changers in industrial operations. And we hope to see you in an ARC Industry Talks podcast again very soon. Thanks.
Industry Talks by ARC Advisory Group.